as Christian women. You do not have to be Christian in order to be an abolitionist.
Yeah, who says, like, where's the doctrine that says pro-life means you have to have exceptions?
It's not about that. It's about what their stance is. When they come onto the panel and they explain that there are exceptions,
well, I mean,
that
you
is
can't
not
read the First
abolishing.
Amendment, right? So I don't think you'd be able to read that right either.
Okay, I don't know who asked for your opinion.
What the hell?
And I don't know what the First Amendment right has to do with any of this.
I don't see the
Everything.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And you know what? How about you go back to Section 8 in the comments? How about that?
Yeah, I
So
have no
let
clue
me,
how that
How about he
related to
just
this
lost?
conversation.
How about he just lost his First Amendment right?
pretty much. So that's my point. It's about the stance that they take. Almost every single pro-lifer, until they learn the distinguishment between abolitionist and pro-life, right? They always say they have some majority of them have exceptions.
Yeah.
Now, the when I've joined the live and I've explained, no, this is the difference, yada yada yada. They're like, oh, then I'm considered more of an abolitionist. I have had conversations where I'm like, it is the majority is viewed as being Christian based. You are right. However, it does not mean, because I've talked to people who are not Christian, but they don't believe in any exceptions with abortion. That's what I'm saying. You do not have to align necessarily, right, with that. Like for example, you would agree that schmurder is wrong. And even though in the Bible schmurder says is wrong also, doesn't mean you're automatically a Christian, right? Doesn't mean you're automatically read the Bible. You know, off a moral standpoint, that murder is wrong because it's the unjust taking of a life, right? So that's the thing is just because it says it also in the Bible doesn't mean you align with the Bible, right? But
That's
because
not what
of
I'm
your
saying.
what?
That's not what I'm saying.
But that, oh my gosh, yes, it is. You're saying that you have to be Christian in order to be an abolitionist, and I'm telling you, you do not. Okay, no, you don't, because I've asked it. So then why did KD tell me that you do not have to be a Christian?
I know KD, and I don't think KD would do that.
Stop it. So hold on. Back in the day when people were trying to abolish slavery, were they all Christians?
It was created by the Christian movement.
But stop it, Mom.
Exactly.
Okay, but it also comes from a moral standpoint, and I don't know why. And I don't know why.
Where do morals come from?
It's a good question.
I understand, but the whole point of the matter is that you do. I believe that also comes off of certain morals too, though. Like you can have sympathy outside of religion also. It's just not something where it's like, you see someone getting beat up in the street and you're going to be like, oh, that's cool, they deserve it. Like nobody ever, I mean, unless you're really evil, nobody ever thinks that. There's also that same point.
So just to be clear, if you so you don't have to follow the 5 tenets of abolitionism to be an abolitionist?
Oh my goodness. Okay, whatever.
I'm just curious.
No, it's fine.
Here, maybe we can get back to the prompt, right? What was my mic here?
Hold on.
Okay.
I said,
I'll mute up.
Hold on just a minute. No disrespect. Athena, woman warrior, to a certain extent, was correct. And Sophie and I was in the room with her the other day. There is exceptions of being you have to be a Christian.
But listen,
No atheist. And also, Catholics can't be one either because it doesn't fit in their criteria of their belief. So yes, wounded warrior.
Well, I
don't know why Katie.
Yeah, but I never mentioned anything about atheist, right? Because there's also a line. No, she mentioned something about somebody being on a live and somebody being atheist and saying they were abolitionists. I never mentioned atheism. For
maybe I
example,
misunderstood.
right?
I
For
was doing something
example,
else. I didn't hear the whole conversation, but I was going to say she is one of us.
I know she is, but she came up here really rude, and she acted like she would. If this is her panel and her live, I'm also
Oh,
not going to
okay. My
accept that
bad.
either.
My bad. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not towards you.
May I say something real quick?
Yeah.
If you guys
Not
come up on this, and I'm speaking for Athena real quick. I know you don't need no one to speak for you, but if you guys come up on somebody else's panel and you see that there's a host, don't disrespect the host. Like, learn how to be. This is like being in someone's house. Y'all don't know. Like I see too many people do this. Whenever there's a lot of hosts who have panels, this happens on my own panel too. When you are on somebody else's live, you respect that host. You respect everybody who's on the panel, especially the mods who also help the host to make the live better. So, for those of you who come up here and disrespect Athena and all that stuff, that's rude and disrespectful, and you have no morals. Apparently, you don't. And I don't care. Like, I just got here. I don't know everything that just happened. But one thing, two things, three things for sure, I don't go for disrespect. So don't disrespect the host. If the host is talking, let the host talk. That's literally how a live works. She is a host. She does not have to let any of you up here. And that goes for everybody. Do not disrespect the host. Do not
I
disrespect the
wouldn't
people on the panel.
necessarily say disagreeing with something is the same as disrespect.
May I finish, please? Because I wasn't done. I wasn't done talking. I'm not trying to be rude. No, you're good, love. It's just like I see this happen too many times with a lot of people where they disrespect the host a lot. And it's okay to have a debate, and it's okay to have a friendly debate. And there's a way to debate somebody and still be respectful with it. You feel what I'm saying? It's not like there's literally a way to have a debate and be respectful with it and all these other things. So, and I've seen a lot of people come up here and disrespect Athena, which is why I'm saying this. Like when you come up on somebody else's panel, you are a guest and you should act as such. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Sophie. And the other thing I want to say really quick is,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, you're fine. What was I going to say? Oh, sorry, really quick. I just want to say this real quick. Is hold on one second, guys. If you're gonna come up here and you're going to automatically, like Warrior did, you're gonna say yourself, you do have to be a Christian, blah blah, and you have to, like, there's a way of going about it. When you start getting like kind of defensive and stuff like that, you're already giving those signs of you're giving disrespect. I've had people up here where we've disagreed and they're still respectful. They're still coming at me at it like what's we got morally that's up on the panel, right? He disagrees. However, he's not sitting here what's him called acting like he's the boss of this. He's not giving me like what's my attitude. He's having a civil conversation. When Warrior came up here, right, she just automatically off the bat just started going off. Like don't sit here and act like this is your live and this is your panel and stuff. You want to have one, that's fine. That's totally your right. And if I am wrong, there's also a kinder way to go about it and tell me. You don't have to sit up here and act the way you do and be disrespectful. Okay? So that's all I have to say. Go ahead, Morley.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of continue where we went off. Are you aware of like abolishhumanabortion.com?
Yes, I am. You mean the are you talking about the Norman statement?
I don't believe.
Are you talking about something different? Because if you're talking about something different, I might not.
So, are you aware of the 5 tenets of abolitionism?
Kind of, yes.
Okay. My next question will lead into kind of going over those. Do you believe that incrementalism can achieve your goal?
Sure.
Okay. So that's just another thing outside of the five tenets. Well, it's like three things that we've kind of gone through where they don't really match these five tenets of abolitionism. Almost all of the abolitionists that I've spoken to don't believe in incrementalism. It's immediate and uncompromising. So
Right. I said sure because it depends on where your stance is at. So if you are abolitionist, no, but that's why I said sure if that's what you believe in.
well, you're an abolitionist, correct?
Right.
But you just said that you
I don't. I said sure as in like a generalization. Like if you're not abolitionist.
okay. All right. Well, I mean, even still, if we look at the five tenets of abolitionism, right? It's biblical, providential, gospel-centered, body-driven, and immediate and uncompromising. Would you you don't agree with these five tenets?
Oh, I do.
So okay. So if then then you just kind of conceded the point.
No, but my point is that just because give you an example. Just because, right, you believe that stealing is wrong and that says it in the Bible and that's Christian based does not mean that you're a Christian. You believe it's also wrong. And the same thing can apply to being an abolitionist.
Oh no, I don't know about that. I would say it maybe works the other way around where you don't have to be if you're just because you're Christian doesn't mean that you're an abolitionist. I think that in order to be an abolitionist, you have to be Christian. If you agree with the five tenets, biblical and gospel centered primarily. So if you agree with the five tenets of abolitionism, then that would mean that you kind of concede the point that you would have to be a Christian to be an abolitionist.
So, okay, if that is the point, which I see your point.
Yeah.
I was told differently.
That's fine. I mean, I don't think that this has been confrontational at all. I mean, it's not like bad to concede points. You know what I mean? Like debates aren't always about winning, and there's points you can concede and still hold your point, right? So
Right.
now that we've cleared up what abortion abolition is, sorry, Mobster, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and you have been very, very respectful, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? Very
Well,
respectful.
we have a common goal, right? So, I'm not gonna, obviously, I just match energy. So if somebody's gonna come at me disrespectfully, I just come back with the same energy.
Right.
If they're gonna hold a respectful conversation, I'll just hold the same respectful conversation.
Right. So what would you call me? And I'm going to tell you my viewpoints, and you tell me what you would call me, okay?
Yeah.
0 abortions. I don't care.
Yep.
I'm saying,
Including life of the mother.
well, here's the deal. I live in Texas, so I'm gonna answer that question the best way I know how, and the way the state wrote it in. It has to go through a board of directors and through the committee of the hospital to prove that it is medical necessary.
Most of them aren't, but in the case, obviously it's possible.
Well, give me an example. Educate me, please, because you have been very respectful. So give me a scenario, a hypothetical. I'll play the hypothetical game with you, okay?
Right.
Why would it be medical necessary to save the mother's life during a time of abortion?
Yeah. So it doesn't, just to answer that, I don't think that there's actually a current thing that we've discovered that is discovered that couldn't save the mother's life via cesarean section. But the point is whether or not we hold the worldview consistent with some logical hypothetical, right? So we don't even need to know the name of it. We could just say that there's some undiscovered medical condition in which the pregnancy is viable. It's still a regular pregnancy, but if she were to give birth to this child, it would end her life, right? The question comes in to whether or not we can stay logically consistent in this worldview of abolitionism, which is to say the mother does not hold or does the mother has to give birth to the child. In fact, a lot of abolitionists this has been debated in the abolitionist movement for a long time, whether or not the life of the mother exception would be a justifiable position to end the life of a human being inside utero, right? Now, obviously, I just hold the life of the mother exception, right? Just out of intuition. But if you're an abolitionist, like, you're just going to be even more consistent in your position, I think. But I would say that if you hold no exceptions, mobster,
Denominational.
non-denominational.
Yeah, I was raised Baptist, and I went to Assembly of God and Pentecostal, and I've said it more times. Denomination, in my eyes, now this is my opinion, there's no facts on it, okay?
Okay.
Denomination gets in the way of you and your relationship with Jesus, because in certain denominations, they tell you what you need to believe and what you don't need to believe, and how you need to interpret the Bible. To me, I've got 66 books that tells me how to live my life and what I need to believe and how I need to pray. I don't need a denomination telling me to do that.
I mean, if you hold to sola scriptura and sola fide, or sola fide.
Sorry, really quick, Morley. I just have to point this out. So I looked this up, and if you look at the bottom also, we'll read the top. It says, no, you do not have to be a Christian to be an abolitionist. Although in the mid-18th and 19th century, Atlantic world, the movement, was predominantly driven by Christian activities. While many abolitionists cited biblical values, others were motivated by secular enlightenment. So if you keep on reading, right, and then if you keep on reading the other ones down the line, the very last one, this is the conflict. Many abolitionists faced opposition from other Christians who used the same Bible to justify slavery. So that's why I'm saying, like, you do not have to be an abolitionist. You do not have to be Christian to be an abolitionist, even if you do those viewpoints, because then you are also going on a slippery slope, because then you could argue that the justification of what Schmittler did was okay, because he also used the Bible as a justification. So you have to be very careful, and that's why I'm saying you do not have to be a Christian exactly for that.
I will point that the what's it called? I can't think. The words slipping mind. The link underneath it, I can't think of the word. The link underneath that is Reddit, and I don't think that Reddit is going to be a viable source of information. And that's just my opinion. Now,
well, I can look at other websites also that are not Reddit or
why can't I think of the word?
Google or whatever.
Right, and that's
hold on just a minute. Hold that thought. Katie, come up into a box. I need you to explain something. My religious biologist is here.
Hey, Katie.
Katie, do you have to be a Christian to be a look at the panel? Just answer the question. I'll shut up.
Wait, what?
Do you have to be a Christian to be an abolitionist, Katie?
So there's a Norman abolitionist, right? And typically when we're referring to abortion abolition, we're typically referring to Norman abolition. So to be a Norman abolitionist, you must be a Protestant Christian, as it is gospel centered, and that is where the gospel is found, is within Protestant Christianity.
That's literally Katie. That's literally what I said about the Norman stem. I said,
yeah,
that does align with it, but you do not have to be, if you are not set of the Norman, that Protestant kind of religion. You don't have to be a Christian, because then I put in perspective of when they were trying to abolish slavery, it wasn't all of them were not Christians. It wasn't. It was also more. Thank you. That's exactly what I've been trying to say this whole time.
The point the point absent that is that whether or not there's a difference between being a staunch pro-lifer and an abolitionist.
Right. And so, and I agree with morally. I think that it's kind of this weird, like, sure, if you want to call yourself an abolitionist, but you're whatever, like, I don't know, man. I disagree. I think that, like, it's kind of it's important to be unified within abolitionism. And so again, generally it's kind of like the same as like when we're talking about, I don't know, I was hoping an example came to me by the time I got here. I don't know. Like if we're talking about like doctors, right? Typically, like if we say somebody's a doctor, we're not talking about Jill Biden. We're talking about medical doctors, right?
Right.
So it's kind of the same idea, where I would like, I would push back and say that being gospel centered and body driven is really critical, to the abolition of abortion. And so I think that Norman abolition is abolition. That being said, am I going to sit here and argue with somebody who's like, oh, I'm an abolitionist, but I'm an atheist? Okay. I don't know, man. You
I
don't
would. That's just me though.
In real life.
At the end of the day, if we're being genuine, right? Because you said to be an actual of the Protestant, of the Norman statement, abolitionist and gospel centered, right? But you cannot sit there and say that if somebody's saying they want to abolish something, they have to technically be Christian.
Yeah. Well, and so like in a really pedantic definition, or like just a really direct, straightforward definition of what does it mean to abolish or to be an abolitionist in the definitional sense. Yeah, sure. I agree with that. They desire abolition and therefore in that idea, but again, kind of the common language, the colloquial sense that is commonly spoken of, you're going to find, well, like even, so like if somebody came up and said, oh, hey, I'm an abolitionist, then that in my mind tells me that they're Protestant Christian, that they're biblically based, that they're body driven, that they're providential, they're uncompromising, right? And so that tells me that it also usually tells me, not always, I'm not Calvinist myself, but it usually tells me that they're Reformed and Calvinist. It usually tells me that they're really genuinely like Christian and biblically based and all of that. So
Right. So, but for example, like if somebody said they wanted to abolish, let's say, soda because it's not healthy,
right,
you don't have to be a Christian to want to abolish, because essentially abolishment means also to get rid of indefinitely, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is that's what I'm saying. When you sit there and say, I want to abolish this because it's not healthy for us, it's not this, it's not that, whatever, you don't necessarily have to be a Christian. It is better if you are faith-based, you are Christian-based, and it is coming from the point of what the Bible says, the gospel. I totally 110% agree. However, if we're going to actually put in definite, you cannot sit here and say that someone calling themselves an abolitionist for any other reason, right? They have to be Christian-based.
Well,
right.
I think just real quick, right, is that I think that, I mean, if you want to abolish soda, I don't think you're an abolitionist, right? Because I think that abolitionism carries some sort of like dogma behind it. I think it's a dogmatic belief.
More, I got a joke for you real quick, okay? Because since you've been so polite, if you got sick and somebody told you to go see the doctor and I told you I had a doctrine, would you come see me?
No.
But I have a doctrine.
I don't care what
That's
you have.
funny.
I do. I technically have a doctrine. So I'm a doctor. Would you come see me?
No, I would not.
And just
see
so
the
you guys
point that I'm trying
know,
to make now? You see what I'm saying?
just so you guys know, right? And I want to also tell Katie this, just so you guys know. You see how Katie came up here and she wasn't just all of a sudden, like she wasn't biting at me and she wasn't barking at me, right? That's how I felt when Warrior came up here, and she just automatically, with her very demanding voice, you do have to be a Christian, blah blah blah. You do have to, like, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. First off, she came up here. I didn't even introduce her. I didn't even know who she was. She just automatically started talking. Okay. And the thing is that Katie came up here also with good faith, saying these are the requirements of, yes, if you want to be considered an abolitionist and this, with the Norman stem, he should give examples. She didn't come up here disrespectful. I'm not sitting here getting upset because she's telling me all this stuff, because she came up here respectfully. There's the difference. When you start like all of a sudden just acting like the world, everything and stuff like that, and you have that kind of demeanor of like, I'm the boss here. That's where I'm like, it's a little disrespectful when you're doing that. But Katie came up here also, good faith. Even if she were to tell me, no, Athena, it is correct, you have to, I would still concede to that if it was that case, because of the fact that she's respectful. She talks to me like I'm human. Okay. I felt very like I said, when Warrior came up here, I felt very much like she was just the thing I have a problem with.
Yeah.
So thank you, Katie, for coming up here and being respectful. I appreciate it.
But to Katie's defense, I told her to get up here because I needed my religious biologist up in the box. So,
To answer your question, Mobster, about earlier, if you still hold closer to like Baptist worldviews, I would say that you're an abolitionist.
Yeah.
I'm more denominational, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
as long as it's Protestant, then there's not any. I will say, so like the people that I there's a we gates keep within abolition, and I want to explain that here in a second, kind of. And this is like where the difference between, like, I agree with what you're saying, but then is this Kanoa or Adrian, by the way, Morley?
What's that?
Oh, I was thinking you sound like one of my friends. I recognize your voice, but I can't.
It's Bryce.
Bryce. Okay.
On chair, as also what I've been referred to in previous days.
Hi, Bryce. Okay.
Hi.
So I kind of want to differentiate between, because yes, just like with what you're saying, Athena, I agree. But then what Morley is saying as well, yes, correct. Mm-hmm. And within Norman abolition, we refer to it as gates keeping, because the acronym of what is abolition, as far as Norman abolition, is gates. And I have to pull it up because I always mess it up if I don't look at it as I'm rambling it off. But
what are you looking for?
The gates acronym: gospel, aligned providentially,
body driven, immediate compromising is what I have here on the website.
Katie, let me ask you a question. If somebody came up on the if somebody came up on the panel, right, and they said, I'm not they said that they're not a Christian, but they do believe, and they consider themselves an abolitionist, and they say, I don't give any exceptions, I don't give any of this. Would you take that away from them, considering that they're not Christian?
So I have a couple of friends who, like, one is like a polytheist and one is an atheist, and they both consider themselves to be abolitionists for the same reason that you consider yourself, or like for the same reason you're saying, like, abolition, right? And yes, in that sense, I agree with you. Now, when it comes to TikTok, am I gonna like come here and like I have those conversations with them privately, ministering to them and all that kind of stuff. And they, like, we have had the conversations of like why we wouldn't consider them an abolitionist and all that kind of stuff. Now, am I going to come up here and yell at them and be like, you can't call yourself an abolitionist? No, absolutely not. Not ever.
Okay.
But so in terms of the gatekeeping though, right? I think it's very important that we do this because we like undefiled religion, right? And remaining unequally or like remaining equally yoked. So within abolition, the entire point is that we stand on the word of God and we will not be moved, and we're relying entirely on the providence of God. We believe that the way that abortion will be abolished, because the hearts of men are so wicked, that it is God's providence that alone abortion will be abolished. The way that I like to kind of describe it is abortion is Jericho, and we are Joshua obeying God until God's hand moves and knocks the walls down, right?
Right.
So do we bring in like this big tent idea of Catholics and atheists and Hindu and whatever else, and have them march with us, but directing it towards their own God or whatever, right? Or
Right.
their own desires? Or do we march in obedience and worship to Yahweh, to the one true God, and wait for him to move, right?
Right.
Athena, Miranda in the comment wants to know why she can't come up.
Because that's Warrior. That was Miranda who came up, and I'm gonna be honest. I do not want her coming up because of her demeanor before. I'm not ready for her to come up here, right? And I furthermore, I'm trying to be respectful in the sense that if I need a moment without her being up here, I should be able to have that. I don't want to get into a disrespectful debate or anything, or have people raise their voices or anything like that. I'm not.
Was it Warrior Chicken?
I don't
No,
think
because
so.
when she came up here as Warrior, she
No,
said
no, no,
me,
no. She
Miranda.
said, no, she said, I'm not, no, that's Miranda. That's not,
Warrior?
she come up as,
Oh, so that's not her?
no, that's not Katie. It was Womb Warrior come up running her mouth.
Oh, Warrior's Chicken. Oh, I'm so sorry because how I perceived that's my bad. That's on me. How I
No,
perceived it when she said when Warrior was up and she says me Miranda. So I thought she was saying me as in me Miranda, like she's talking to
no,
herself in the
me
third
and
party.
Miranda. No,
So she meant me, Miranda, and so forth. Okay, I got it. My bad. That's my fault.
And then I just saw Scooter come in too. Scooter is
And you know what, KD, I will sit here and say this. I can, like I said, I can concede to something when it's if I'm wrong about something, right? Then I will sit there and say, okay, I'm wrong. I knew that you didn't have to be necessarily a Christian to be one. However, I also agree. The way you explained it is to be a true abolitionist to the core. You have to have gospel centered, Bible driven, beliefs. You have to have the faith. I absolutely agree with that. Now that you put that in those kind of perspectives, right? I understand it now. And that's kind of the reason why I'm like, I appreciate you coming up here and explaining it like to the depth, because when Warrior came up here, like I said, she was very much, she wasn't trying to explain, she was just trying to argue. And that's
something
the
that
difference is,
Shit.
yeah.
As much as I'd like to continue this conversation, because there's still much I wanted to touch on, I have to head out. But
Okay.
I appreciate it. Katie,
No,
long
we're
time no
supposed to
see.
debate.
Nice seeing you.
I
All
know. You too.
right. Later,
All right,
everybody.
thank you for
hey,
coming
bro,
up.
God
You can
bless
drop me for the algorithm. It helps your algorithm to
Okay.
get more people in
Hey,
here.
bro, you've been
Thank you.
awesome. God bless you, man. God bless you, bro. You've been awesome. So,
And
what is it?
Miranda, I'm so sorry, by the way. I didn't know. I thought you were Warrior. I do apologize for dropping you. I just didn't want to, I wasn't ready to talk to Warrior again if that was the case. But so I do apologize.
No, it's no problem. It happens a lot where like we get mixed up as each other. But
Right.
so I wasn't in here, like I was happily sleeping away. Was there something said that like I believe that atheists could be abolitionists or something?
That was the
I never said anything about that.
Yeah.
That was coming out of Warrior's mouth. She said that she was on a live not too long ago. She said, and there was an atheist who came up who wanted to say that they were an abolitionist. That came out of her mouth. I never once said anything about an atheist.
Okay, well, I don't think Chicken would say that. About
No,
that's because
I'm
that's who
being
Womb
serious.
Warrior is. That's her other account. That's Chicken.
Right.
And Chicken wouldn't
She's
say
the
that
one who
atheists
she's
could
the
be
one who
abolitionists either.
No. I didn't. No. So that's not what I'm
Okay.
saying. What I'm saying is that she said that she was on a live not too long ago, and that an atheist went up and was trying to claim to be an abolitionist, and she said that's. I never said anything, but she said that she was on a panel, and then atheist came up, and that they were trying to claim that they were an abolitionist, and that's when Warrior said that you cannot be an atheist and be an abolitionist. That's what she was trying to say.
Okay, yeah. So like when we're talking about abortion abolition, it is true that only Christians, meaning Protestant, sola scriptura, sola fide Christians, can be an abolitionist. Historically speaking, it's not a lie that abolitionists were, like, of slavery, were Christians. A lot of people would say, and I would agree with this, that it was a mix. Like, there was deists and some Christians. So that's kind of something that with abortion abolition, we're making sure to be very thorough where abolitionists of slavery maybe got it wrong, so that we can glorify God even more fully.
Gotcha.
And that's why, like, abortion abolitionists must be a Christian, because we've outlined our beliefs in a unified way through the Norman Statement. And so somebody who's claiming to be an abortion abolitionist, but they are not a Christian, does need to be pressed on that, because if they are not a Christian, in their worldview, they don't have what's necessary to say that abortion is murder. So while it's good, right, like, we rejoice and praise God if an atheist agrees with us on abortion, as far as, like, they don't give exceptions, they want it gone immediately. I would say that that's by the grace of God that they believe that. But they can't be an abolitionist because their worldview still is in rebellion against God. And so we, as faithful Christians, need to challenge that. And like Katie was mentioning, we need